Got it. Coach.
Ready? Good evening. It's 5:28 p.m. July 8th. We're calling this meeting to order, the general membership meeting for the United Probation Officers Association.
Okay. I'm going to admit everyone.
Okay. It's 5:30, right?
Yes, but give me a minute because I had to let all the people in.
All right, but if they don't, I'm gonna start at 5:30. You muted her again, Erica.
Oh,
Erica. Okay, I'm gonna start.
okay.
I want to thank you all for participating in the UPOA Zoom general membership meeting. Joanne, you gotta call a tangent somebody. I'm starting. It's starting now. All right, go ahead. Okay. All right, get on. Can't let you in. Bye. Okay, all right. Okay, I'm sorry, everybody. I want to thank you all for participating in the UPOA Zoom general membership meeting. Unfortunately, due to limited space, everyone will not be able to attend, but as mentioned, it will be made available on our website and a link will be sent out in our UPOA On The Move newsletter. Also, due to time constraints, we would like to get through to the agenda, and as we have a few presenters, therefore, as mentioned in the announcement, we will do our best to get to the questions. Otherwise, you can submit your questions to unitedprobation@gmail.com. Once again, please submit your questions to unitedprobation@gmail.com, and we will get back to you as we will share your questions and responses with everyone. We ask that you now please be patient. As always, we will be respectful to each other. Before we get into the agenda, I would be remiss if I do not acknowledge that these past months have been the price to pay for us all. C-19 has turned our lives upside down and inside out. For some, it has changed the way we perceive and appreciate life. Many of us have lost family, friends, and colleagues to this virus. In addition, some of us have even fell victim to the C-19, and thank God that you all survived. It has changed the way in which we do our work, the way in which our kids are taught, and how we interact with each other. For example, Zoom, Teams, Skype, conference calls, Facebook, etc. The primary objective is to be safe and not to spread the C-19. This pandemic now has only jeopardized our health, but has also affected the economy and has enhanced our concerns about our future. So tonight, I have invited our team to come and update you about what is going on as of today. Today you will hear from our attorney, Sandy Barone, who does our wills, Erica Healy, who's our EO attorney, Hank Scheinkoff from our lobbyist team, Harry Greenberg, Jordan Zinger, our EO attorney. So what I'm gonna do is now I'm gonna turn it over to Sandy Barone, who's our attorney who does the wills, estate planning, and real estate attorney. Sandy.
Okay. Thanks, Katrina. Okay, so we do more than just wills, and I wanted to talk to you a little bit. Hold on one second. Oh, I got to close that door. Okay, so Harry is in the other room, so we were like hearing each other. Okay, so I wanted to talk to you a little bit more about our legal services agreement with UPOA. And this program is, to me, it's an awesome program for the members, and it provides a lot of great services. So I just urge all of the members to take advantage of this program. So basically, I would like to talk to you about our estate planning and real estate services. Now, we offer these services at no cost to the union members. It's free. You know, it's a great program. It's free. If you were to go to a private attorney, it'll cost you thousands of dollars, I guarantee. Okay, so first of all, let me talk a little bit about the estate planning. I I mean, a lot of people like, they say, oh, you know, estate planning is for rich people. It's not for me. I don't have any assets. But that simply is not true. A basic estate plan will include a will, financial power of attorney, and a healthcare proxy. So everyone, I mean, everyone, young, old, doesn't matter. Everyone should have an estate plan, especially if you have minor kids, you have loved ones with special needs, you have elderly parent or sibling that you're taking care of. So a basic estate plan, at the very minimum, estate planning should include a will, power of attorney, and a healthcare proxy. So we all know what a will is, right? It's a legal document with written instructions. You direct who gets what when you die. You appoint legal guardians for your minor children. You get to provide for your disabled family members that you're caring for. So the will is very simple. Everybody knows about the will. You know, what happens if you don't have a will? Well, the court steps in and say who gets what, basically. If you have minor kids, they'll appoint someone to take care of them. You may not even like that person, but then again, you didn't leave instructions in a will, and you're dead. So that's your fault. if they pick somebody who you never liked. Okay, so power of attorney is a very important document. You pick someone you trust to handle your finances if you're unable to do so, if you're sick or you're injured. If you don't have one, what happens? Someone would have to go to court and get appointed as the guardian of your estate. It's a hassle, it takes time, and a judge must approve that person to act as your guardian. You don't want to put your family through that, basically. So the healthcare proxy is you appoint someone to make medical decisions for you in case you're not able to, in case you get sick, you're in the hospital, you're in a coma. Again, if you don't have a document like this, then you would have to go to the court. The court will appoint a guardian to make medical decisions on your behalf. That takes a long time also. So the whole idea is that you plan ahead. You know, don't wait until something happens to you. Like a while ago, someone called me, his dad's in the hospital. He didn't have a power of attorney and he had all these bills to pay that he had to go to court. He had to file application. It takes, I mean, he could expedite the purpose, but it's such a hassle to do. So it's best if you plan ahead, plan when you're healthy, basically. So the legal services program, we provided estate planning, and also we do real estate closings. And that, as you know, if you buy and sell a house, it'll cost you a lot of money. I mean, to do a closing, it'll cost anywhere from $1,200 to $2,500. And for UPO members, it costs you nothing, so it's free. This is a fantastic program for members, and you should really take advantage of it. Everything is done electronically. Basically, the only time you come to our office is when you have to sign the documents. So even then, we do everything through Zoom. We witness it through Zoom, and the only thing that you have to do is just sign documents, and that's it. It's easy as that. So everything I called you, I give you a question and you fill it out, you send it back to me. I mean, Katrina knows the process because we went through it together. And everything is done via phone and email. And it's very, very easy. So don't lose this opportunity. I think I would just strongly recommend everybody to, take advantage of the service. And if you have any questions or if you need to talk to me, just call me at the office. I'm available here every day. I have a direct line you can call me at. It's 516-570-4347, and I'll speak to you directly. So again, take advantage of this program. Thanks. Good night. I'm leaving. I'm driving out now.
Thank you. Good night, Sandy. Thank you so much for the information.
Yeah.
And we'll put up Sandy's contact information on the emails like we always do, and her direct number.
Yeah.
Hold on a minute. Just Joanne. Joanne, you have to. I'm in the midst of the meeting right now. I gotta call you back. Tanja, I think Joanne's trying to get it. Okay.
Katrina, from me, do you need anything else?
No, I think you're fine. I think everything is covered.
Okay, have a good night, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Good night.
Good night. Bye-bye. The next person we have up is our EEO attorney, Erica Kagan. She's going to give you an update on the EEO case. This EEO case is when UPOA now has been for started about 2 years ago. Erica, I think we started about 2 years ago to try about 2 years ago in efforts to try to get paid parity. When I first became the president of the union, I did an assessment of our salaries, and what I saw was very disheartening. And most of us who's been here, I've been here for almost 33 years, know that we never get to our top salary, and that's ridiculous. And by now, we should be making much more than we've been making. So our objective here, which Erica talks to you more about, is to have our salaries comparable to other law enforcement, as well as our brothers and sisters in Suffolk County, Westchester County, and other neighboring counties. So I'm going to turn the floor over to Erica, and she can give you an update. Plus, in the newsletter, if you reference the last newsletter, you'll see a complete outline from when we started to where we are today. So Erica, it's all yours.
Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. My name is Erica Kagan, and along with Yetta Kurland and our team at the Kurland Group, we've been working with your union to advance the claims which Dalvani discussed of discriminatory pay practices, and to make attempts to correct those discriminatory pay practices and get paid other law enforcement, other probation groups. So we want to thank everyone for participating in the focus groups that we conducted back beginning in June of 2018 and through to April 2019. We conducted focus groups that the union organized so that we could have members in all of the different bureaus working in various courts that we could understand and be able to explain to the government agencies as well as the courts that have jurisdiction over discrimination claims, just what you do on a day-to-day basis, the difficulties that you face in your job, and also how that work is comparable to other types of law enforcement agencies who do similar work, but unfortunately are paid much more. And so that we can best explain how the work you do is being underpaid right now, how we can best fix that. We also want to thank everyone who helped us to gather salary data from the union, which we were then able to analyze along with a statistician to, in essence, describe it in a way that is easy for, again, government agencies and courts to understand and to, in essence, help break apart the pay disparities that exist. The statistician does what's called statistical regression analysis, and those are the various ways that in discrimination cases we can show what type of problems exist in terms of salary and salary. So with that salary data, we were able to do that work to package that in the right way. That led to, in June 2019, filing a charge of discrimination with the Equal Employment Opportunity. That's a federal government agency that has jurisdiction over discrimination claims, and the union filed a charge of discrimination on behalf of all of the members, which enables us to allege discriminatory pay practices and basically start the mechanical process of getting to court in order to seek both equitable relief as well as monetary damages. And so that EEOC complaint has now been pending for a little while, but unfortunately, the EEOC often takes some time to analyze these complaints. They're a government agency. They unfortunately are not the best funded government agencies. They're investigators that handle claims, oftentimes have quite a caseload of cases, as I'm sure you can all understand, having quite a number of cases and getting through them, as quickly as they can. But we often see pending charges, certainly for a year before they're able to go to court, and oftentimes, unfortunately now with COVID-19, there are a number of other delays, but we do have an investigator assigned to the EEOC, so we are in the middle of that process. They are actively, investigating this claim. Right now, we're at the point where we're waiting for a response from the city. Basically, once the union makes their complaint, the city has an opportunity to respond. That then provides us the information about how to best rebut their arguments. But it also gives the investigator what she needs to investigate and analyze the case itself. She will then let us know if she needs more information from the union. We'll of course work with you all to get her that information if she needs it. Ultimately, EEOC is done with their work. We may either receive a determination of wrongdoing, which from the EEOC, or we also may have the opportunity to go to court. In essence, if the EEOC closes the file and gives us what's a notice of right to sue, we then proceed in court. And so throughout both this kind of pre-litigation work that's required, as well as the litigation work, there's kind of ebbs and flows. There's times where you'll be hearing from us a lot, and we'll be, asking for more information, folks more, and getting more data from you. And then there'll be times where we are waiting for the EEOC to complete their investigation. Sometimes, you're waiting for the court, for the judge to make a determination about what happens next. So throughout this process, there will be busy times and then times where we are, being patient and waiting for the next step that we can. But of course, we will continue working on this diligently with the UPOA leadership. We will work, of course, to get the EEOC what they need in this process to push their analysis and their investigation forward. And then ultimately, once we're able to, we will be filing litigation in court in order to, as I said, seek equitable and relief, which means both fixing the problem and seeking to obtain pay for what ultimately was, a problem for many, many years. So that, that process will continue going and continue updating everyone on our progress. And we, as I said, thank everyone who has participated in focus groups and provided us with information so far. It's been very, very helpful, and we will keep everyone updated.
Thank you, Erica. I appreciate that. So, as I mentioned before, the timeline that Erica was just talking about is available in our July 2020 UPA on the newsletter. If you have any questions for Erica, you can send it to probation@gmail.com, and we'll forward those questions to you, Erica, and we'll also post them on our website and our newsletter. Thank you again.
Excellent. Yeah, thank you very much.
Okay. So next up, we have our workman's comp attorney, Jordan Zingler. Many of you have met Jordan when he first came on board. And I think today is very important that Jordan talks to us about filing for claims should we get injured on the job. And I know I got some concerns that people are telling us about it, because last year we found out that there was several altercations with probation officers and clients out there in the streets last year. And it was kind of downplayed by the department, but I had records of it. And my concern is that I want to make sure that you get what you deserve should you get injured on a job. And also with the COVID-19, Jordan can tell you what your entitlements are when it comes to that. So Jordan, are you ready? Jordan, where is he? Hold on a minute. I gotta get him. I think hold on a minute. I'll get him. I gotta get him. You want to see. Just 1 minute. You ready? We ready for you. Unmute him, Tandra. Unmute, he's ready. You got him?
No, I'm looking for him.
Okay, in the meantime, while you look for him, I think I'm gonna let Hank. You got him? Jordan Zingler.
Jordan.
So I'm gonna let Hank start while you look for Jordan, okay?
Jordan. Okay.
So while Tandra's trying to connect Jordan, I want to introduce Mr. Hank Shine, one of our, who's part of our lobbyist team. So Hank is gonna talk to you about his vision for us and how we are going to go forward when it comes to the pension reform and other ideas about enhancing us as law enforcement and first responders. So Hank, Tandra, unmute Hank.
Hank or Henry? Henry?
Henry.
Okay. Unmute yourself, Henry.
Okay, there you go.
All right. So my name's Hank Shankoff. I don't know. What should I say? I am not a very good self-promoter. Here's what I think the problem is. I mean, I've done a pretty good job over the years with people like Local 237 Teamsters, like Local 371, SSEU, and a whole bunch of other people. It's been a great run. My client list of public sector unions and private sector unions is rather long over the years. The problems are twofold, I think, and I'll tell you what the opportunities are. Problem is that nobody knows you're alive and nobody's known anything about you for 30 years.
We see
That's the bad news. The good news is that nobody knows anything about you and they haven't found any, haven't heard anything in 30 years. So that's good because you get to create we're going to get to be able to paint the picture that we want. And Katrina's already been into the codes committee of the New York State Assembly, which is rather significant if we can come up with some changes and statutes to give you more authority. And she's already made herself much more visible among other elected officials. I think the opportunity is that the city's going bankrupt. The question is when. And I also think the opportunity is criminal justice reform. Now that may sound a little bit odd, but it makes your role even more important and your job more important. And what I think the future holds is more power for probation, because the entire law enforcement community is going to go through a revolution, the likes of which we've not seen probably since the Knapp Commission in the early 70s. What's coming down the pike is going to be I think most amazing. I also think part of what has to be done in making sure people know you're alive is to create coalitions with other people who are powerful or who have the capacity to use whatever power they have to influence the perception of you among electeds, so they think you're more valuable. And I also believe part of that is a money question. What do I mean? Your presence saves dollars that the city does not and is not going to have for some time to come. Your presence and the capacity to do the work you do with the appropriate number of people doing it, appropriately trained and attended to, provides opportunities for the city to increase its, if it's committed to criminal justice reform in any way, and the real shutting of Rikers, as we know it, Rock closing up for most of its operations, and getting some of the people who should not be in jail out of jail permanently and under supervision for as long as the law allows. So those are cards you haven't played because nobody's talked about them before, but they're cards I think I can play for you, and that's what I intend to do.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Does that make sense? Anybody have, you're the boss here, Katrina.
But what they'll do is they'll present their questions at the end to the unitedprobation@gmail.com. I think you make yourself pretty clear. And
Well, I'm not here to play a game. I mean, I'm fairly well known for being direct and to the point. I think you have a bad deal. I think you've had a bad deal for 30 years. I know something about these things. I think that not because you wanted me, but I think Katrina's the right person because she's got a loud voice and she cares about this job. Most of these unions, unfortunately, and not your case, but have become places where people don't have loud voices and care about the union job, but not the job. So the deal here is that she cares about the job, which is going to make my job, so long as she keeps me around and you keep me around, a lot easier to do.
Thank you. Appreciate you. Jordan, you ready? Is Jordan unmuted?
Yes, he
Sandra?
is.
All right, Jordan.
Him.
I got to go.
Okay.
Oh, he got kicked out again.
You got kicked out again?
Yeah, I
Oh,
just let him back in.
he's back in again?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, unmute him and let him back in.
Okay.
Bear with us, family. This is new for us. Hey, Jordan. All right, so this is Jordan. I don't know again. Many of you have met Jordan before when he first started working for the POA, and he went around to all the different boroughs. But some of the newer people have never had the opportunity to meet Mr. Zingler. So he's our workman's comp attorney. He's going to give you a presentation about his services overall, and then how all this plays into COVID-19. So Jordan, it's all yours.
Okay. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
All right. I'm outside and there's a plane going over and it's pouring out, so I can't leave where I am. So I'll do my best and I'll try to make it brief. So in general, when Katrina brought us on board, just as the infomercial background, we're probably the largest workers' comp firm in the country. And we've been representing union workers and law enforcement for probably close to 80 years. and we represent a majority of the law enforcement unions in New York. So you guys and girls fit right under our umbrella of exactly what we do all the time. When I talked to Katrina, the biggest thing we discovered is that no one was filing workers' comp claims with the city, or you were filing it, but you weren't having representation. You were filing it directly with the city of New York, with the insurance carrier of the city of New York. And it's like any other insurance claim. When you file and you're just working with the insurance company, they're not on your side. They're not advocating for you. So that's where we come on board to help you get your benefits. Any work-related injury, anything that you do, anytime you get hurt while at work, should be filed under workers' comp. And when COVID-19 came aboard, I reached out to all of our union friends and Katrina especially and said, listen, anytime you're exposed at work to COVID-19, that exposure is a work-related exposure, just like as any other work-related exposure. So we want to file workers' comp claims if you know you were positive, if you're with somebody who is positive, and if you have any symptoms. So in order to do so, it's easy for us to file the claim. We could do it all by email, but you still have to have some level of proof that you had, it was more probable or more possible than not that you got exposed at work versus at the deli or a grocery store. So when you tell us that you got exposed and you're positive, we're going to ask you, where were you working, who were you working with, and how do you know you got it at work? And that'll help us do our job. And your doctor's going to have to say that they think you were likely exposed at work. The value of these COVID claims to your pocket, dollar value, depends on what happens to you. If you lose a day or two or 3 or 4 from work, there's actually no comp value to it. The value would be health insurance. You wouldn't be going through your health insurance. But a lot of the claims we filed since February were death claims, unfortunately. And the death claims are very, very important to the survivor, because the surviving spouse gets 2/3 tax-free of the gross weekly wages of the deceased probation officer for life, plus funeral expenses of about $10,000 to $12,000. So any kind of COVID-19 death claim is very important to file through workers' compensation. And then I'm overly nervous and I'm overly protective of my clients. And I don't know if the science is good enough yet to tell us if there's any long-term effect for being exposed to COVID-19. So maybe now you only lost 2 or 3 days of work, but who knows, it could be some permanent damage to your lungs, to your heart, to your brain. And, a couple of years from now, we can relate it back to COVID-19, and then we can have a comp claim again. Also, everything goes in line with, the big areas that we handle in the office are workers' comp. So for COVID-19 specifically, we file a comp case. If you can't work for more than 12 months for whatever reason, we'll file Social Security disability. That's number 2. If you're permanently disabled and can never perform your job duties as a probation officer anymore, we'll file a disability pension application through NYSERD for you. And that we do all that in-house. And Katrina mentioned the other day, I should mention, if you're involved in a on-duty or off-duty event, and it's not, your injury is caused by someone other than a coworker or your employer. So let's say you go to a house to pay a visit, and you're walking down the staircase and there's no handrail, and you fall down. That's a violation of a code or an ordinance for that building. So we can sue the landlord for you. So you can have a comp case, a Social Security case, a pension case, and we can sue the landlord as long as it's not the city of New York, and file a lawsuit. If you're driving to a probationer's house and you get into a car accident and you're working, that's a workers' comp case, but now we can sue the other driver. If the driver, came through a red light or ran a stop sign or rear-ended you, we can file those claims also, as long as it's not another probation officer who hits you. So that could happen sometimes. It happens a lot with PD when they're racing to the same scene. But as long as it's someone who's not a coworker, we can file the lawsuit. So we do all that stuff in-house. I'm trying to be kind of quick because I'm on a Zoom call. And any questions you have with us, let me know. the website of the law firm is workerslaw.com, and the phone number is 800-692-3717. Again, I'm one of the senior partners of the law firm, Pasternak, Tilker, Ziegler. Anything that comes through UPOA to the law firm for any reason, I oversee and look at, and I'm always answerable to Katrina and the rest of the board if there's a problem, and they can get me anytime. And just look out. So the COVID is the crazy stuff, but all run-of-the-mill workers' comp cases. If you get assaulted, if you're affecting arrest and you get injured, if you trip, you fall, any of those kind of things are all workers' comp. Anything that happens to you while working, we should be getting a call, and we'll tell you whether we think it's a comp claim or not.
Jordan, didn't you in the COVID-19? We had an officer that died as a result of the COVID-19, unfortunately. And what kind of rights do the families have as a result of? Didn't you say something about they got 2 years? Did you mention that they got 2 years?
Yeah. So what the survivor we have to file a comp claim within 2 years of the date of death. So we have plenty of time. First, we have to prove the underlying case that there was COVID-19 and that you died from COVID-19. Once we do that, the benefit to the survivor, as long as we file within 2 years, the benefit to the survivor is, from workers' comp anyway, is 2/3 of the gross weekly wages, tax-free for life, unless they get remarried. So basically, you're looking at, for an average for a probation officer, you're looking at, I think it's about $30,000 or $40,000 tax-free for the surviving spouse. That's a huge benefit. It could take us a while to get it, but it's all retroactive. But I highly recommend, if someone passed away from COVID-19, that we file a comp claim and see if we can prove it.
And one more thing, not so long ago, we had a situation where we had officers who used their car to go do an assignment for the job, and they got into a car accident. Didn't you deal with the no-fault aspect of it too, and the workman's comp? If they drive in their cars to go do the department's work, can that be a no-fault and a workman's comp?
Yeah, if you're saying they're in their own private cars?
They're driving and then they get into a car accident, but they're going to go do the department's work. So that's two, right? Workman's comp and no fault, you cover both?
That's correct. That's
Okay.
correct. And
Okay.
then and then it always goes to the next thing. If they can't work because they're so severely injured for
Right.
more than 12 months, we file a Social Security case. You guys can be fired after a year under civil service law,
Right.
but we file Social Security. And then if you can never return to work, you file a disability pension application through NICERS. And we do that also, all in-house.
And also, we got people that want to apply for pension disability. Do you help them with that too?
Yep, yes. With disability
That's
pension
right,
with
like
NICERS.
arthritis, they got bad arthritis.
Yeah.
You help them with-
Even if it's not job related, if it's just
Right.
arthritis or cancer and it's not job related at all, but you can't work, we'll file Social Security disability also. And if you have more than 10 years of service, you can still get a disability pension even if it's not job related through the NICER system. It's about 33% of your salary.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you. So if we have any questions, we'll forward it to you and then we'll post it. Thank you so much.
You got it. Thanks, Katrina. I'm out.
All right, now the moment y'all been waiting for. Our very own Mr. Greenberg. He's going to cover budget, the layoffs, the proposal,
Who's him?
the many retirement packages.
Who? Naomi?
Could you hang up the phone?
You have ways? Why?
Hold on a minute.
All they had to do is come down Hageman's.
Who's that?
Make a right at the CW post,
Do it.
make a left on Whitman. We're just 106, 107, so we.
Well, they must go 106, 107 all over the server.
Can we get my
We can
battery low, Rena?
Yeah, Jordan, hang up. Okay, I think he hung up. Okay, go ahead. So we're going to let Mr. Greenberg take it from here. Go ahead, sir.
Okay. Good morning or good afternoon, everybody, or good evening. My battery on my phone is going low, so I'll speak quickly. We are very in unique times. We have never in my lifetime through a pandemic. You should know, city has been broke. In
Hello?
75, the city was almost bankrupt and there were layoffs. In 95, there was a recession, and that was the first time we had an early retirement program. There were 100,000 jobs lost. 9/11 came 6 months later. Another 129,000 jobs were lost. In 2010, we had another recession, 61,000. Now, I gave you those numbers to tell you, because of the pandemic, in 2020, 500 jobs were lost, which means the city's budget was reduced by the revenues not coming in, the failure of the federal government to give us money, and the cost that was associated with the pandemic. Having said that, in 75, the state created what's called the Emergency Financial Control Act and Municipal Big Mac, Municipal Assistance Corporation. And what that did was it got money for the city for operational expenses. And it took years. People were laid off. It was terrible. When that happens and the budget is very bad, and I will tell you, the reports that we're getting from the government have been looked at by the MLC numbers people. The state budget is $20 billion, and the city is $7 to $9 billion. And the mayor has threatened 22,000 layoffs if he doesn't get $1 billion in give-ups by the union. Now, in the past, we were able to get money by the Transitional Finance Authority, by MAC, Municipal Assistance Corporation, and money we had in reserve. The governor has not given us that authority, and he's the one that has to do it. The state is holding back 20% federal money that's already come in, which is predominantly for hospitals. So what do? We're going to be meeting, and Katrina's part of this, going to be meeting with the city to see how we go forward, because the $1 billion is a lot of money. I'm talking a billion with a B. And one of the ways, if we don't come up, and in 1975, there were two agreements, the Americana Agreement and the Hilton Agreement. Both froze wages, and we had to make give-ups to get the wages that were frozen 2 years later. And it was a horror, among other things. So that's what we're facing. And the reason I tell you all this is we don't want to do layoffs. If we have to do layoffs, and by the way, we're also talking in Albany with the city on an early retirement program. I don't know what it is yet. There are a few versions, and it's unclear on which version or a new version that will actually be agreed upon. But what's going to happen is we're going to enter into these negotiations. And the mayor has said in October, if it's not done by October, he's going to start laying off people. I don't know how we could start laying off probation people, but everybody, you guys are doing more than what you should. And I will tell you, the city is forcing all employees to work out of title or do things that they're not job created. So having said that, we have to go along, do these negotiations, and we can't do it with a group of novices. We need people like you have now that are experienced delivering a contract, knowing what the law is, getting you an annuity fund, getting you besides your raises, the uniform allowance, and increasing your health and welfare benefits. We can't start dealing with novices. That you just can't yell, and promises that can't be reached are worthless. And that's what you're hearing from another group, which I'll talk about later. But pretty much, come July 13th, we have to, by law, notify the city that we're bargaining, because our contract expires November 27th. We'll be in the middle of bargaining. Any group that hasn't been involved in bargaining, what happens is they get taken over the coals, and I'll explain that later when we get into our closing statement. That's it for now, Katrina, on that.
All right, so before we get to come to the, I'm going to do some, thank you, Harry. I'm going to do some reminders. We did a mailing about, what, Jennifer, about 2 weeks ago? We did a mailing to all the active. And in that package, there was information about the COVID and the workman's comp. There was information about the legal services. And a very important document that was in there was the enrollment pay form, not a card, because I have your cards. The enrollment form that's for your beneficiaries and your dependents. Because now for the active, we have a $10,000 death benefit. And what I've been finding is that, unfortunately, we've had people, brothers and sisters, who died, but like Sandy was saying, did not put things into place for their families. So when we don't have something in place, that document is not readily available to the union, we can't issue a check to the state, and Harry can back me up on it. We can't just write a check to anybody saying that I'm entitled to that money. You have to put down your dependents and your beneficiary at the bottom of that form. Many of you had already done it. If you've done it already, don't worry about it. But if you have not done it, I strongly suggest, along with the will and the estate planning, that you submit those documents to us, because as you can see, the world can change just like that. And we lost a lot of people unexpectedly. And we lost a lot of people, as far as I'm concerned, prematurely. But at the end of the day, God's will is God's will. So like I said, tomorrow's not promised to you. So I highly recommend that you submit those enrollment forms to the union office. You can send it to Charlene at the union office, or you can, and we'll put that on the website too. You can send it to the EFAX. You don't have to worry about mailing, because this way you'll have the hard copy and we'll have the actual other copy. The other thing I want to talk about is that the tuition/book reimbursement is now effective. We put a policy together. It took us a while to get it together. Jennifer's back to what, January of this year, right? So we talked about it in the past, but we had to put things in place with the attorneys and the accountants to make sure that we can afford it, one, and that we had very clear guidelines. And right now we're working on the trustees, along with the attorneys and accountants, working on the benefits books to make sure that things are very clearly defined, because some things in that book was, uncertain and not clear. So we want to make sure that we have a retiree and benefits book and an active retirement book, and that's something that we're working on. And we'll do a massive mailing to make sure everybody understands about their benefits. So the tuition benefit for now is $250, and it's a pilot program, but at some point the trustees will revisit it, and we'll look to increase that benefit, because we know it's not a lot of money, but it's a start. So now you can use that money to go toward tuition, or you can buy books, or maybe one book at some point. The COVID-19, the union in March, when they first hit the COVID-19, I immediately ordered PPEs, and we gave you 3 phases of PPEs. If you haven't gotten your PPEs, then reach out to your local executive board and let us know if you didn't get all the package. In there, your packages should have been a face shield, which I highly recommend, because we're going back into the office and everybody's wearing face shields. We're trying to get the department to give us plexiglass, but since you do have face shields, I highly recommend that when you go into the office or anywhere in this world, that you put those face shields on your face, because in addition to the face mask, and I understand it can go into other areas of your body, through your eyes or whatever. So please wear your face shields. You got your UPOA mask, face mask now, and you have the N95s along with some gloves. We still have some things left if you really need it. You can contact the union office and we'll give you what we have. But I'm trying to also keep some in reserve, because I don't know what's going to happen come the fall. So if we have to do that, we got to do. We spoke to the department many times about providing you all with PPE. They claim that they have it. I don't know. I keep hearing mixed stories. So I say go to your area manager and ask for your PPE. We have our third-party administrator, ASO, administrative services for or only, which we told you about back in Jennifer, October. We started with them last year. So right. So
September. I think it was September.
September, right. So I think, it went into effect of October, September. The point is that we do have a third-party administrator, and they do the dental. And we had given you the information in this system that we have with them, that you can actually go on to sign up, and you can actually look at your That's Shirley. And that you can actually look at your account and monitor the balances without calling the union office. You can actually see what the balances are. And you can also see that okay, and you can also see the balances of your account. So I suggest that you do that as well. We have a public relations team, and because of the public relations team, is the reason why you see me on different show. I've been on the videos. I've talked to different people through Zoom, and I'm getting more demands to come and talk more about probation. So some people say that I'm acting like a voice for the Department of Probation. No, what I'm doing is I'm being a voice for us. Everybody always said nobody knew what probation was. So now because I'm out there and I'm out there advocating, educating, and like Henry and the other people that you heard speak about, nobody know who we was, but now they know who we are. And because of me being out there and hitting the pavement, we have been acknowledged by the governor, by Eric Adams. We've been invited to different places. Now we're actually, for the first time in all these years, we are now asking for law enforcement and first-time responders. And when that went up on our Facebook, we got over 5,000 hits because not only did this union get us acknowledged, but this union was able to get probation officers all over acknowledged, as well as parole at the Department of Parole. So I think that's a plus in the city of New York probation department. Our communications have increased tenfold. If you want to receive any of the emails, please send your email information to, once again, I will send posted for you, to Charlene, to your executive board member, and we'll be able to send you all the updated information if you're not getting it. But even if you don't get it by email, we make sure that the information is placed in your mailboxes. Also, the PBA cards is available. In your first package of PPEs, we give everybody one card. Now, if you want any more PBA cards, you can now contact the union office or your executive rep, and you can buy as many cards as you want. They're $1 each. Here's the card right here. They're really pretty. So here's the card. So if you want to get a card, here's the cards. So you can contact us and get the cards. And we also have the Retirement Association. Some of them are up here now. Joanne Palmer is the president of this retiree association. William Coachman is a member of the retiree association. And what I say to you all is that you need to maybe, especially new people, contact the retirees and find out some more about the history of probation. But we're getting ready to come to a close. So you want me to close and then you follow through, Harry?
Yeah.
All right. So what I want to say in my closing is that we all share a common ground. And hold on. Just bear with me 1 minute. We all share a common ground, and which is our objective is to get pay parity, pension reform, and jobs. We want to have job security. And I wanted to just also say, when Harry talked about the possible layoffs, so far in the labor management meeting, I believe Mr. Forte said thus far they didn't get any calls about the layoffs yet, but that can change at any minute now. Last night, me and my son was having a conversation about politics, and he was fussing and he was very passionate about what was going on in the world. So I said to him, if you want to see change, don't sit on the sidelines, but get in the game. Figure out what you have to offer to be a part of the solution, but you do it right and you do it with integrity. As you can see, the group who identifies themselves as Fed Up, who is formerly known as the Voices of Probation, Probation Officers for Change, they have no integrity, nor do they want to put in the hard work. Instead, they make false claims against your union, which is UPOA. We've proven them wrong about the financial statements, which have always been made available for years on the UPOA website. In addition, we always had the representatives put them in the mailboxes, and they was also mailed. The retirees will also get the same financial statements by mail. We are audited by accountants annually, and those reports are submitted to the controller's office. The trustees have meetings every month, along with the attorneys, lawyers, and accountants, and everybody goes over our bank statements. They claim there are no open elections. The Constitution 6.5b clearly states that, and Constitution of Violence clearly states that all members are eligible to run for delegates. What is mind-boggling to me is that the very one who makes these false claims were either delegates or was present at the nomination meeting in 2019. And some of you got the newsletter, you saw the pictures. And we also have attendance sheets to back it up. There were those who were nominated in absentia as well. Those locations where there was opposition is where elections were held in November 6, 2019, and in the past, as well as in the past. To add insult to injury, some of the people from Fed Up were delegates more than once and stopped attending meetings or came to meetings late and etc. Not only do they not have integrity, but they sought to join forces with this organization, this union, or whatever you want to call it, called LEBA, the Law Enforcement Employee Benevolent Association, a union who has been raided by the FBI, sued by their former members for stealing their welfare money. I cannot help but shudder and think about what could have happened. What could have happened? And I kind of wonder what is Fed Up's true intentions. Even their ideas are not original, as all they do is share common ground, which is about better salaries and pension reform. Only the difference between UPOA and Fed Up is that we don't make promises that we can't keep. All we can do is try. I say to the old and new, do your homework. Ask Fed Up, as a matter of fact, ask Fed Up, what exactly is this union doing that's so wrong? Communication has improved, accountability exists, we have open elections, we have multiple legal services, as you can see. We have a team of public relations, we are suing the city for pay parity. We have a lobbyist. The governor, the borough president, Eric Adams, invited us to stand with him in public and acknowledge us for the first time as first responders and essential workers. You was able to get into Costco's and BJ's with just by flashing your shields. The mayor's office recognizes us quite obviously as alternatives to incarceration because now we have electronic monitoring. And like Harry said, we're working out a title and monitoring the inmates from Rikers, but that's something we will deal with in a later date. Benefits have improved. The contract was ratified by over 90% of you all. We now have a uniform allowance. We have a annuity fund. We have paid family leave. I signed the 9/11 unlimited sick leave agreement with the city. Not one round of PPE went around, but 3 rounds of PPE was distributed. And because the executive board is why I'm not still going. Last year, we had our first Friends and Family Day. The year before that, the union gave a holiday party prior to C-19. We started participating in all kinds of parades. And I'm out there advocating, like I said, and educating the world, the city, about what probation does and how significant we are. That's the first step. The first step is getting people to know who we are. Then the next step is to get what we deserve. So when I say to you all, you do your homework, old and new, who thinks it makes sense? You think it makes sense to follow Fed Up, Voices of Probation, Probation Officers for Change, who are friends of LEBA? I remember one of them saying to me and to one of the other representatives, we're gonna be LEBA every day, all day. That's scary, especially knowing what we know now. Finally, the young officers, we have a retiree association. Talk to them. Talk to some of the older POs. Do not depend on the former SPO who just retired, and the former UPOA delegate who ran for office last year and became an alternate. Don't listen to that person, because that person benefited from the United Probation Officers Association and now is going to go enjoy the rest of her life. Do you think these people were serious? If you think these people were serious, don't you think by now, after 30 years, they'd be sitting in my seat? If they really was very serious, to me, I think they have a short attention plan. The bottom line is our families, nor can the retirees or nor ourselves can be put at risk by this group who quite obviously is unstable and is driven by malice. We are fed up with Fed Up, who continues to try to throw a wrench in our process and our progress. No matter what their name is, they are the same people playing the same games. Like I said before, why now? So I say to them, like I said to my son, let's get off the sidelines. You should get off the sidelines and join us in this fight once and for all. We cannot let Fed Up, Voices of Probation, or whoever they're gonna be later on, let this happen, never, never, ever. In the meantime, I'll be waiting for the response from Fed Up telling me, what is UPOA doing wrong? And then tell me what we're doing right. Thank you. Harry?
Unmute yourself, Harry.
Unmute yourself, Harry.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes.
From a legal perspective, the person that seems to be the leader sued the UPOA and had that we were retaliating against her, and we didn't even get to a hearing. The charges were dismissed. And then in December, after she tried to decertify the union, right, was dismissed because she couldn't get enough cards. What I'm told is that they were getting the new people who didn't know too much about what this was about, and they still didn't get enough support. So if you're telling, if you read what they put out and you see that she's saying she's getting support, she get it in December. This is 6 months later. She's taking our time and effort away from taking care of you, and we're going to win this one, but we need your support. Thank you.
And in closing, that same individual, and many of them that's on FedUp was represented by me and other union representatives, and that's why they still here, feeding their family with roofs over their head. So for them to tell you that UPOA has done nothing for you, for them, that's a big thing for them to still be here because of them either getting in trouble in some kind of way and having gone to the applicant's office. But with that said, I want to thank you all for joining us. And if you have any questions, you can refer them to unitedprobation@gmail.com. I want us to stay united because the house divided is going to fall. And if anything, you want somebody of experience, and I've been doing this for a very long time. And like I said, we don't have time to pause. Thank you. Good night.
Coachman, you gonna call the meeting?
Call the meeting, Coach. Unmute. Unmute, Coach.
Unmute yourself, Coachman.
Thank you for unmuting. Wait, it still says the host.
No, you can say.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, I'd like to adjourn this meeting. It's approximately 6:25 p.m. I appreciate and happy that a lot of people came out and listened to what the UPOA had to say, and God bless.
And if you, like I said, send your questions to unitedprobation@gmail.com, and we'll try to have more of these meetings, and I'll be making my tours, and I already started doing small groups of Zoom meetings. So if you want to have a Zoom meeting with me and the other executive board, I'll be happy to do that as well, but I'll be starting to come around again. I love you all. Be safe and take care of yourself. Tange.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Tange, I'll call you.
Okay. End the meeting, Tarina.
Oh, yeah.